Everybody has a story, but what if you can tell yours?
My story is a personal one. My parents were still alive and defected from communist Czechoslovakia when I was a little girl in the 1980s. They came to Canada in search of a better life. They left everything behind. My story is one of human struggle with a very unlikely ally. Fashion. Let me explain. In 1948, the Soviet Union took over many Eastern European nations. Czechoslovakia was one of them. The communists called it a liberation, but we soon learned the truth. The Soviet communist takeover introduced what would be over 40 years of isolation, deprivation, fear, uniformity, and silence. Umberto Eco once said that we speak through our clothes. We differentiate ourselves through fashion, but we also communicate membership and affiliation with others. In communist Czechoslovakia, the struggle to express some form of individuality in an otherwise homogeneous society was played out through fashion. The clothing people produced and consumed, and the impact of these practices were tremendous, both politically and economically. For centuries, people have used their bodies in order to communicate something about themselves, their individual as well as their collective identities. Clothing and fashion have been instrumental in this form of visual communication. The way we adorn our bodies is significant, not only in everyday situations, but it is an especially powerful tool in circumstances when other forms of communication are restricted. People took great risks in order to smuggle contraband objects such as Levi's and Wrangler jeans, fabrics and t-shirts into Czechoslovakia. A network of tailors and a culture of do-it-yourselfers became the only way to obtain unique clothing because shops were empty and homogeneity ruled. Fashion provided people with a sense of hope. It gave people a way to express themselves through state-imposed silence. Fashion became a visible form of self-expression and political discourse.
If some people think that fashion is a trivial business, they should think again. Fashion is so fundamentally central to both personal and political identity.
There is a plethora of examples where fashion is used as a form of protest, rebellion, and self-expression. From the hippies of the 60s to the punks of the 70s, and to the LGBT community of today. Any form of subcultural movement really demonstrates the importance fashion has on our individual and collective identities, and how we visually communicate with one another, especially in times of crisis. What we wear, especially if it's prohibited or taboo, makes a public statement, not only about ourselves, but also about the society we live in as a whole.
For me, fashion is a direct reflection of my identity. It's a chance for me to be uniquely me in a world that doesn't allow for much variation in so many other ways.
What we wear is important because it can help tell a story about who we are.